Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day. Abid Ustaz Rida. So today our group will be discuss on the prohibition of Friday prayers during pandemic COVID-19. So right now we give you a short introduction about our project. So in previous year, which is 2020, we know that our countries had been shocked and facing the new virus which we call COVID-19. So this COVID-19 had been investigation and we found that the first human case of COVID-19 were reported in Wuhan, China in 2019. So based on live update of COVID-19, we know that the number of people get the virus are increasing, and beside that, the death by the virus also increase for the time by time. So by this is our assignment, we focus to you about prohibition of Friday prayers during pandemic COVID-19. And beside that, we focus about how COVID-19 and plague of was outbreak during Sayyidina Umar's time. And for the third one, we discuss with you about the Friday prayers should be suspended. Next one, we will discuss to you about the prohibition of Friday prayers in the mosque, and we will follow about the impact if Friday prayers continue to be conducted. And for the sixth one, we will discuss to you about Friday prayers in the places that have not approved by the government. And next, we focus on those people who are sick or forbid to attend Friday prayers. And lastly, we will discuss about the effect if we did not pray Friday prayer 3 times in the row. So next, we will go to the next presenter.
First one is the situation of COVID-19 epidemic in Malaysia. So on 23rd of January 2020, Malaysian neighboring which is Singapore announced the first imported COVID-19 case from Wuhan, China. The threat of COVID-19 increasingly apparently after that first reported case in the Republic. On 11 March of 2020, the situation became worse after IHR Brunei informed Malaysia that one positive case in Brunei was found to have attended a religious gathering from 27 February to 1st March of 2020 in Seri Petaling Mosque, Selangor, Malaysia. Next slide. So from that, we know the consequences of the religious gathering in the Seri Petaling Mosque were very significant in terms of COVID-19 cases. Okay, next slide. So next one is COVID-19 and plague of Amwas outbreak during Sayyidina Umar's time. So such an epidemic was exactly like the outbreak of the cholera during 10 years of Muslim world led by Umar bin Khattab, saw a black tragedy in the folds of Islamic history. The town outbreak, which originated from a village called Amwas in Palestine, has led to being raged. So when cholera infected a friend of the Prophet, peace be upon him, Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah, the Caliph Umar intends to visit him. Next slide. So nevertheless, the planned visit was cancelled. This happened as soon as Umar bin Khattab heard Abdul Rahman bin Auf read hadith, which means if you heard the disease somewhere, do not go to it. If it happens somewhere while you are there, do not get out of it. Narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. So the last one is Umar's action. The revoked visit are historical lesson in the face of this situation. Meanwhile, Abu Ubaidah's action, which remain in the midst of the spread of the plague, are also desirable to be ceremonial. So that's all for me.
Okay, so for number 3, why Friday prayers should be suspended during pandemic COVID-19. In line with the published official government advice, first, to avoid gatherings with friends and relatives. Second, avoid large gatherings in public space. Number 3, during this difficult time at affected places, the dispensation is explained. The section on Sharia dispensations and their types. 1 is the dropping of an act like congregational prayers, fasting, Hajj, or Umrah due to Sharia-approved reason from Qawaid al-Ahkam fi Masali al-Anam, Volume 2, page 9. Number 4. Rasulullah SAW also mentioned, let there be no harm and no reciprocation of harm. Hadith by Imam Ibn Majah. And last but not least, to avoid the reputation of the Jemaah Tabligh cluster, which hit Malaysia in early COVID cases eruption, which left a bad speculation among Muslim communities.
Okay, so for the part 4, which is the prohibition of Friday prayers in the mosque. So the government or Uli Amri had prohibited and postponed certain activities for a while in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So in Malaysia, in the rural country, the king or sultan is the head for affairs of Islam. The religious power is under the regime. So to maintain our dignity as Muslim, as we have to postpone our Friday prayers, we at any prayer time azan continues to be chanted. So the second one is at each mandatory prayer read the kunut nazilah. Okay.
So right now, I will discuss on the different types of impact if Friday prayers continue to be conducted. So in order to reduce the spread of COVID-19, WHO state that the most effective strategies to reduce the spread of COVID-19 were through the application of social distancing, as well as taking good care of day-to-day personal hygiene. Besides that, many people who are not concerned with COVID-19, as we know, they are continue to shake their hand after the prayers and do not abide the simple rules of social distancing. So next, in Malaysia, we know that around last year, March 2020, our National Health Authority, Ministry of Health, found that about 927 cases classified as PUIs for COVID-19. So our HG for DG for the Ministry of Health, Tan Sri Dr. Hisham, he declared that the event evaluate the number of COVID-19 case lead to the cluster about 3,347 compared to 2,375, which was previously stated before the investigation. As I mentioned before, the number of cases were based on the Sri Petaling cluster, which is the first cluster in Malaysia, and this cluster has contributed about 48% to the total number of COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. So based on Sheikh Muhammad Rashid Reda, he's mentioned that it is haram for believer, which is Muslim, to alone in the congregation to deliberately throw themselves into danger of destruction by their effort and choices. So in the conclusion, we as a Muslim, we have to obligatory for the Muslim to avoid the cause that can be affected by the COVID-19.
Okay, so for the part 6, which is the friendly prayers in the places that are not approved by the government are not valid. So during the MCO period, Friday prayers and obligatory congregational prayers at mosques and surahs in Selangor were replaced with Zohor prayers at home. So this prohibition coincides with Section 97 of the enactment of the Islamic Religious Administration of Selangor 2003. So any party requiring the provision of subsection may be fined for not exceeding 3,000 or imprisoned for not needing a year or both.
For the seventh topic, which is people who are sick are forbidden to attend Friday prayer. So there are 7 criteria for those who are compulsory to attend Friday prayer, which is Islam, mature, live in the area, sane, free, male, and healthy. So healthy is one of the criteria, which means sick people are forgiven to not attend the Friday prayer. This is supported by hadith from Sunan Abu Dawud 551, narrated by Abdullah bin Abbas, meaning if anyone hears him who makes the call to pray is not prevented from joining the congregation by any excuse, he was asked what an excuse consisted of and replied that it was fear or illness. The prayer he offers will not be accepted from him. So there are 2 excuses, which is fear and illness. So illness, they are forgiven to not go. People who are sick are forgiven to not go to the Friday prayers. And for fear, there are 3 parts of fear, which is fear to himself, fear to his family, and fear to his property. So, an opinion from Sheikh Ali Al-Qardani, he said it's appropriate to leave Friday prayer and congregational prayer because of fear during the pandemic outbreak, with the condition for the fear needs to be based on fact and certainty and not only an assumption. So, for us to do Friday prayer normally, we need to forbid the sick people because they are forgiven to not go to not attend the Friday prayer, and it will also decrease the fear in the community so that they can do the Friday prayer normally. So the 8th topic, which is effect if they not perform Friday prayer 3 times in a row. So there are 2 hadith, which is based on hadith narrated by Abu al-Jad al-Damri, which brings the meaning the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, he who leaves the Friday prayer continuously for 3 Fridays on account of sadness, Allah will print a stamp on his heart, And based on hadith from the book of Jum'ah 1057, meaning the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever missed 3 Jum'ahs out of negligence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place the seal of his heart. So these 2 hadith shows that the threat for those who did not perform Friday prayers 3 times in a row. But in Shaykh Badruddin's lecture on one of the hadith above, this chapter explains about the severity of the threat for act of leaving Friday prayer without any illness. He added the word tahabunan biha carries the meaning of leaving it because he is lazy and cunning in doing it. So these 2 hadith is not affected us because we are based on the hadith from Sunan Abu Dawud, which says that there can be an excuse, which is fear or illness, so that we can not attend the Friday prayer.
So for the conclusion, it is appropriate that Friday prayer activities should be postponed for the sake of peace and well-being of people during this time of extreme COVID-19 tragedy. So as a Muslim, we must know that this prohibition is in accordance with Islamic principles. So for the last one is we are in this together and we will go through this together. So that's all from us. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.